Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ignite. Today, I am absolutely delighted to be here with Amee Ritchie of Sweet Bottle. Amee, welcome.
Hi, Karen. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. It's so great to have you. So, Amee, could you start off by just telling us a little bit about Sweet Bottle, please?
Yes, so Sweet Bottle is the world's first reusable bottle made from plant-based materials. So it's completely reusable. It's made from wheat stalks, and we use the waste materials to create this circular product. So it's super unique, it's super sustainable, but it's also quite stylish and quite functional. So yeah, that's sweet.
Fantastic. Okay, I want to learn a lot more about that and how you got there, but I want to start at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about where you're from.
So I am from Turnent in East Lothian originally, and I went to a school called Windigo when I was in primary school, and then I went on to Ross High for my secondary. I actually really liked school, enjoyed routine, the structure of it. I wouldn't say I was the most academic. I really struggled with maths, but I tried my hardest. English was more of my type of thing. And then my two favourite subjects were business management and administration, which I think makes sense now, but at the time I just thought they were really interesting and I could understand that this would be practical in life. I actually left high school in fourth year, so I was 16, and I left because I was really like set on going to college and studying beauty therapy to become a beauty therapy lecturer. That was like, I'd always wanted to be a teacher of some sort, but I had this really big passion for beauty therapy. So I left in fourth year and I went straight into Edinburgh College, and I was there for 4 years. But while I was I must have been about 2.5 years into college, I started Sweet, sort of on the side. Then when I fully graduated college, I went into the business full time straight away. So I've never had like a real job or anything because I was just so young.
And so super interesting, when you went to college and you wanted to be a beauty therapy instructor, was being an entrepreneur on your mind at that point?
No, I wouldn't say so. I'd always kind of thought, oh, that would be really cool to have my own business at some time. But I kind of thought it was just something I'd do when I was like older. When I was like maybe 14, 15, 16, I did try to make money for myself. So, you know, kind of background wise, I'm from a single parent household. I have a disabled younger sister. So, you know, things weren't easy at home financially. And I've seen the struggles that my mum had to support our family. So at that age, there's always a new trend, there's always a new product, there's always like, you know, you've got to keep up to fit in. And I could never go to my mum and say, you know, I need this, and this, because she just couldn't afford that financially. So I think I was very aware that if I could make my own money, I could buy those things. So yeah, I would do little like side hustles, anything at all. Like at one point I would like answer surveys that you maybe got paid 50 to 80p for online, or I at one point made like websites out of WordPress and things like that because I learned off of YouTube how to do it, and then I would sell them to just anyone I'd know that wanted a website. So I definitely had an interest in business, but I wouldn't say I ever considered it actually that was being an entrepreneur. It was more just like, I need to get some money, so what can I do?
Yes, you had that entrepreneurial spark, but it wasn't,
Yeah.
I want to own a business.
Yeah, and I just wasn't old enough to actually have a job.
So then you went to college, and then in your second year of college, that changed because you decided to start Sweet Bottles. Where did that come from?
So it was kind of a couple things. I was with my co-founder, who's also my partner. We've been together since we were in high school. He also was kind of thinking, you know, it'd be good to have a business at some point in life. But again, we weren't very aware of it. It was just in the background, I guess, in our subconscious, I don't know. So I was in college, and as part of our beauty therapy treatments, we always gave the clients a cup of water, and it was always those like disposable cups, usually plastics. And I just kind of had this bit of a like, I don't love that we're constantly giving out these cups. Like, these are just filling up the bins, and then where does this go? And they're not getting recycled, and I don't know, it didn't sit right. And then I also noticed myself, I like to drink a lot of water because I had quite bad skin, and then drinking water really helped my skin. So I was always kind of looking for a good reusable bottle out there, and this was back, you're talking just before 2018. So there was one big brand out there, but there wasn't a huge choice like there is now. So I was just kind of like, oh, there must be more options on the market. Like, none of these are that great, because you would get the kind of kiddish, smaller reusable bottles that were plastic, and then at the bottom I would get black mold growing, and I just didn't like that. And then I liked glass bottles, but I'm a pretty clumsy person, and at my desk at college, like, I would just like hit it, and then that's that smashed, and that's another 20 pounds down the drain. And then steel, I just really didn't like steel bottles. I'm quite fussy, clearly. So I just was like, I'd like to make my own bottle. Like, I feel like there's a better option on the market. So I ended up researching lots of different materials, and then I ended up literally just going down this big rabbit hole of research, and coming across the concept of creating a plant-based material that didn't contain melamine, didn't contain BPA, but was sustainably made. And that's how we ended up creating the sweet bottle. Yeah.
And you had no science background, right? So in terms of understanding how to make these materials and all of that, how did you make yourself, educated in it?
Yeah, just a lot of research. And then the first move that we made, we seen a TV ad for Business Gateway, and we ended up going to our local office in Haddington, and we met an amazing advisor there, and we told this idea, and we were just like, we don't know if this is like a thing, but this is what we were thinking. And he was like, this is so good, guys, like, I love it, like, you should totally go forward with this. I'll put you in touch with like anyone that we can connect you with that could help. And then from there, I was able to find an engineer that I could ask those kind of more practical questions, and then they had a contact that could ask someone else for, in terms of food safety and all those sorts of things, like the science side, I guess. So I was able to get that advice and that support, but predominantly it was literally just Googling for hours and hours and hours and on end.
Can find anything you need to. And for those who may not know, Business Gateway is a Scottish government initiative that helps people start and grow businesses, and it's free for anybody who wants to use it, right? That's amazing. So you did all this research, you found the manufacturer, but how did you actually get started? Like, didn't you need money to do that?
Yeah, so we were very, very fortunate in that the engineer that helped us was part of another program that they would get some funding to help startups. So we only paid maybe £150 or something. It was very, very little. To get that money, we actually applied to as many grants as we could, and grants is money you don't need to pay back. So we just knocked as many doors as we could to get this grant funding, and that was what paid for those initial small costs, but initial costs. And then we realised that we needed to buy tooling to create the actual product, and the tooling was expensive. That was around £15,000, and I was like, where am I going to get £15,000 from? Like, and also I was maybe at this point 17, so £15,000 to me was like an insane amount of money. Someone had said, oh, have you tried crowdfunding? And we ended up researching this. So crowdfunding has a few different versions, but the version we chose was just that people could pre-order your product. So you would just tell everyone what you were planning to do, what you wanted to make. They could pre-order it, and then the amount of orders you got, you had your goal, right? So like our goal was £10,000 in sales, pre-sales, within 30 days. So obviously someone would pre-order it, and if you hit your goal, they would then receive the product. If you didn't hit your goal, they would be refunded. So we had 30 days, and we had obviously no marketing experience, no budget to put into it, no money to put into it. So we made this platform online on the crowdfunder site, and then we put the project live, and I sent it to as many people as I could. Also, I have a very, very, very small family, so it wasn't like I couldn't go asking, grannies and granddads and this and that. Could I have £10 to put in? Thankfully, somehow it done really well. People were sharing it online, sending it to their friends, people I didn't know, just people within East Lothian and then Edinburgh and then just Scotland as a whole. It got bigger and bigger. And then Edinburgh Live picked it up, and the journalists contacted us and they said, really love what you're doing. Can we write a story about it? And that story went I guess in a small way viral, like viral within the community. We got more articles from there, and we raised £22,500 within the 30 days.
That's amazing. Oh, wow. And so at this point, though, all these people have, shown their support of you, you're getting press, etc., but you had no product, right? You had nothing to actually sell at this point.
No, we had a very, very rough prototype and a couple of renders, but no physical product at all.
But it's a great way to see if there's demand for it, right? So immediately that there are 300 people out there who believe in what you're doing, which gives you the confidence to want to move forward, I would imagine, right?
Exactly. I would honestly recommend it to anyone because it's very low risk, and also low risk to the people that are supporting you, because if you don't hit the goal, they'll just get refunded. So it's, it's kind of a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. So you don't need money to get started. There's support out there, even at 17 years old. People are willing to take that risk for you. Okay. So you got the 22,000, which is fantastic. And then what did you use that for?
Mostly all of it went on that mold cost, that tooling cost, and then the rest of it was to fund the actual production cost of the product. We launched a crowdfunder in about August. It actually went live on my 18th birthday. And then we ran that for the month, and we had told everyone if they pre-ordered, they would get it in time for Christmas. So then we had those couple of months to actually make it happen. The stock came in maybe 2 weeks before Christmas, and me and Jake single-handedly sent all of them out, 5,000 units that we had to order, so it was like a big thing. Of course, we needed space to do this as well, so we ended up hiring, it's really funny now, this like storage container place. We stored all the stock in there, and at the side of it there was like an old builder's porta-cabin kind of thing, and that was like our office. It had no heating, no toilet, nothing at all, but it was cheap and it was perfect for what we needed.
People think entrepreneurship is glamorous, but...
No. And it was in the back of a timber yard, so not glamorous.
But super effective. So then did it just take off from there? How did you actually get the word out?
So it really just all happened organically. I wish I could go back and say it was a strategy, but it really wasn't. We genuinely just were in that moment trying to just keep everything moving. We weren't really thinking about plans, and people say, oh, like that was great PR moves. And we're like, no, it wasn't. We were just winging it. During all this process, we ended up winning a couple of competitions through Royal Bank of Scotland, which was really, really amazing and huge support. And then we won Scottish Edge Young Edge. And again, that was for £15,000. That was fantastic, and that really helped us have a little bit of money that we could now use for marketing and things like that. But I'd say what the biggest thing for us is that off the back of the crowdfunder, we got contacted by a producer for Channel 4. And they said, do you want to be on this TV show? And we were like, this is crazy. So we went down to Manchester and we filmed this TV show. It was called Buy It Now for Christmas, and the host was Rylan Clark, if anyone knows Rylan Clark. They basically got you to pitch your idea, and the audience, if they liked it, they could put a light on. There was also a panel of judges who represented retailers. So then when that got aired again at Christmas time, that got a huge amount of interest and obviously customers to our own website. And it just went from there, because then that picked up articles, and then it just snowballs from there. So we were just in a really fortunate position that the crowdfunder gave us all of those opportunities.
I think what also really strikes me is you had this wonderful combination of a really unique product that people want and need, But also the story that you have is also a really interesting, wonderful one. And I think you put those things together and it's kind of magic in terms of a business. So you cited already some wonderful wins that you had. You were on a television show, you won Young Scottish Edge, which is not easy. So congrats on that. What are some other big wins in the business's journey that you're really proud of?
So after winning the Scottish Edge, a couple years later, we went in for the big category, and that was so scary. But business had grown quite a bit in this time, and we were selling out of stock too quickly. We didn't really have the funds to be able to do that because it's just such a expensive one-off payment. So we went back to Edge and we explained all this, and we were fortunate enough to win the full, I think it was £100,000 in the main category, which is amazing because I remember, back in Young Edge looking at these businesses and thinking like, wow, like I don't know if I'll ever get to that level of business. So that was a really big personal highlight. And then some of the other highlights have been some of the companies that we've worked with. So we pretty much started as a direct to consumer brand. So that's just people ordering through our own website, individuals. But we started getting a lot of requests from businesses asking if they could order in bulk for their employees, events, things like that. So our business actually became primarily business to business and doing corporate branding. So we add the company's logo to our bottles. So that kind of was a big shift. But from there, we were able to work with some amazing companies. So probably the most well-known or high-end client was Aston Martin Formula One. So they ordered and they handed out our bottles with the Aston Martin logo, their Formula One events. So that's just amazing. But we've worked with Google, Microsoft, a lot of these really huge corporations. And then I'm like, how do they know little us?
That's fantastic. While you've had lots of wins, it hasn't been without its challenges. So could you talk a little bit through some of the key challenges that you've faced and how you've overcome them?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest challenges was that first production run that I talked about on our crowdfunder. Obviously, we had never created a product and I didn't know that much about the process. And so when all the 5,000 units came, we obviously checked the quality of them and things like that, but we just sent them out to people. They had to get delivered before Christmas and we only had about a week to do it. We got a lot of feedback that they leaked. And people were really nice because they knew our journey, but it was heartbreaking to know that people had paid £25 and they probably couldn't use it. And that was a huge challenge because we had to actually scrap the whole tooling that we paid for, that whole £15,000. We had it independently looked at, and basically the manufacturer hadn't created it to the best standard, and it's all down to really, really minute tolerances and things like that, things I would have never understood, but it just hadn't been done correctly. And so £15,000 down the drain. So we had to go back completely to the start again and create a new product. So that was hard because, no money, all the money we had made was going straight back out. And I just, at that time, you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I think that was probably the biggest challenge.
And how did you keep yourself strong in that? Because it's quite challenging and emotional, actually. How did you keep going after that?
Just cried a lot. No, I think, do you know what? I think it was maybe just that we had no other option, because I wasn't gonna just go, oh well then, I've come this far, I'll just scrap it, people can be annoyed and never mind, and we'll just leave it there. I was like, well, we've done all this, like, and we had a bit of a reputation, I guess, like people have heard of the brand, it's out there online. So it was just kind of like, okay, we just need a solution. And I think that also comes from the background of not always having a lot in younger life, financially, because you're just a bit more driven to and have a bit more of that hunger to find a solution. So I think it just was no other option.
Absolutely. And, and the truth is, you were doing something that no one had ever done before. So of course it wasn't going to work the first time. I think that's just a natural part of entrepreneurship, is experimentation and trying things and testing them and seeing what works. It was expensive, but
yeah, definitely. And we learned so much from it. Now I know to have certain contracts in place. If there's faults, it's not on us, and all these things that you pick up just from a mistake.
So on that topic, for those listening to this who might be thinking about starting a business, what pieces of advice might you give them?
If you're thinking about it, I would just do it. Honestly, I think far too many people have ideas that they'll hold on to and then never bring it to fruition. A lot of people I hear say, oh, well, I've not got any money to start it, or I don't know how to do this, or, what about if people judge me for it? Like, all of those things I also thought, but I hope that maybe this could be living proof that actually none of those things matter. Like, I truly want to stress that I was not in any way fortunate in the sense of by knowledge or by connections or by money.
Are there particular, things you would recommend they read or watch or study or anything like that?
I think one of the books that I really love, or two books actually that I really love, and I didn't read these until probably more recently, but I wish I'd read earlier on. The first one is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that's a super, super interesting way of looking at finances and starting a business, especially if you're not from a sort of wealthier background. And then the second one is How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis. It's a really funny book. It's lighthearted, but it's just really motivating in the same way. I actually listened to it on Audible because the author narrates it. So I'd recommend that if you can.
Okay, my final question for you. What is next for Sweet Bottle?
Good one. New products, which is scary after all of the journey that we've been on, but hopefully we get it right this time. And just more growth. I want to become much more well known. I think, maybe locally within Scotland we've got that down, but there's, a huge market internationally for us, and I'm excited to really get out there and get Sweet out there more.
Brilliant. I think that's wonderful to take over the world. And I think what's super special about that, though, is you have a business mission of growing, but at the end of all of it is a social mission of actually removing plastic waste from the planet. Amee, thank you so much. Your story is truly inspiring. I think it's absolutely brilliant what you've achieved, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Karen. I really appreciate it.